The Local Show, featuring conversations with business owners, employees, and local business leaders about their successes, challenges, and reasons for doing business. Right here in Central New York. The Local Show is locally produced by Zoey Advertising. Now your hosts, Tom and Steve.
Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. This is the 2024 spring edition of The Local Show. I'm your host, Tom Soccocio Jr., along with my good friend and co-host, Steve Roberts, who's not here. He's on his 142nd vacation day. So I have Bob Holdenbetz sitting in with me, and we'll learn all about Bob's story, and then he'll help me host the show. The Local Show features conversations about local businesses. We talk with business owners, and we talk to the CEOs and the CFOs, entrepreneurs, nonprofits, business advocates, and other business-friendly organizations. We learn how they got into business, why they do business right here in Syracuse, New York, and where their businesses might be going in the future. You're going to hear all about their successes, challenges, opportunities, marketing, and advertising. We're broadcasting from the Zoey Advertising Studios, sponsored by Safe Harbor Wills and Trusts, and you can see us on YouTube. So if you're curious and thinking to yourself, well, who is this Bob Holdenbetz kind of character? You can see him on YouTube, so go there. How you doing there, Bob?
Doing well. Thanks for having me, Tom.
Well, thank you for being here. I do appreciate that greatly. And I appreciate the fact that Steve's not here. So it's kind of it's a win-win for me all the way. So, Bob, you and I have been friends for quite some time. Gosh, it's got to be...
Since 2007.
That's a long time.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that. So I've actually seen you mature and get old.
Well, thanks.
But I'm 10 years older, so you got that going on and all that. Bob, why don't you tell people a little bit about what you do full time so they know that you're not just some,
substitute co-host?
Yeah, living in a box somewhere and don't have any type of thing to add.
Well, I have a little side business that I was on here about a year ago. So Hobie Honey, I'm a apiarist. I'm a good apiarist, actually.
And I don't even know what that word means.
It means really a beekeeper.
Okay, gotcha.
Yep, so beekeeper. So I do that on the side. That's my hobby.
Yeah.
And I run a small business with a lot of local collaborations that I do with other small businesses. And that's what I love about this local show, is getting to meet all of these business owners and potential collaborators.
Sure. That's pretty cool. All right. You do anything full time?
I do. Yep. I'm in sales for a company called Walters Kluwer now.
Oh,
and,
really?
They're based in the Netherlands, and we do software for chemical manufacturers and pharmaceutical companies.
Wow, that's you're very intelligent. I'm not used to that. As my other co-host is just, not quite as at that level. You know what I'm saying? I have to do that to him so when he listens, he can say, oh, gosh, he really threw some barbs at me. We've got a great show all lined up for you, folks. Jerome Snyder stops by. He's the owner of Pestmaster Services. Attorney John Murphy is the owner of Safe Harbor Wills and Trusts. Zach Papaglione is the owner of Spore to Fork. We'll find out what his business is all about. And then Sean Dupree, the owner of Top Notch Roofing, will stop by. Brendan Backus is the owner and a master distiller at Lock One Distilling Company. And then Sheila Ostrom, owner of Senior Home Care and Alzheimer's Solutions, along with Sev Ganella, who is the owner of Clean All. And then we have Michelle Persecino. Okay, is that how you say that? Persecino?
Yep.
What about that other last name?
Samurai.
It is Samurai.
It is.
That's what I thought. And then owner of Willow Health and Wellness. I went to their website, and I'm very interested in talking to her because I'm really into that health stuff. So anyway, it's going to be an interesting show. Stick around for that. Now, the man who has a master's degree in bugs, it's Jerome Snyder, owner of Pestmaster Services. How are you there, buddy?
I'm good, Tommy. It's not a master's degree, but I am happy to say that last week I did get my board certified entomologist certification from the Entomological Society of America.
Very nice. Congratulations.
So,
I just picked it up last week. So I had the Associate Certified Entomologist, which is another certification that they provide. But I wanted to go get the next level, and I got the board certified entomologist, and I took the exams. It means that I passed the test.
Wow. Okay.
So 2 tests, actually. And so I just picked that certification up. Not a lot of people have that. Mm-hmm. More people have the Associate Certified Entomologist. But I did the work and went through the course, and I'm now board certified.
So what did you do before you got this business going?
I'm a chemist. So I went to St. John Fisher College, and I have a chemistry degree.
Wonderful.
And then I worked in pharmaceuticals for 10 years. We had our own business right here in Syracuse, making some cosmetics and some hair care products. And then I went to another business here in Syracuse where we were making some industrial places, but I made some non-pesticide pesticides, so we call them 25B exempt. So you're using the cedarwood oil and the cotton oil and the cinnamon oil and the clove oil and some other products like that, which I made. And I was doing that for a long time, working in factories as a chemist. And I was like, I'm on the wrong side of this line. I got to do something different. So 6 years ago, just about 6 years ago, I left the chemistry factory life and I started this little business. And man, it's been an adventure.
And you also have a background in the military.
I do. I spent 20 years in the Army Reserve and deployed over to Iraq. And
That's wonderful. Well, thank you for your service. So you are a man among men. You mentioned St. John Fisher. I know someone else who went to St. John Fisher.
Yeah. Really? Yeah. What year were you there? What years were you there?
Back in the day, 89 to 93.
Okay. 92 to 96.
Isn't that something?
Those don't overlap. Oh, they do overlap.
They do. Yeah,
we were there for 1 year together.
1 year. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's changed a lot. So I drove through there with my family. We went to a wedding. And as we drove through campus, my kids were like, look at that. That's great. I'm like, yeah, that wasn't here when I was here. Look at this over here. That wasn't there when I was there.
Isn't that incredible? It's built up pretty good over there.
Yeah, they've done a good job over there. There's some good quality people, and they're doing some good work.
Bob, I think your bust is in bronze somewhere for lacrosse, right? Or
not there. No.
You weren't that popular. All right. Well, Jerome, you take care of people's pests, both on the rodent side as well as insects. I have a problem. I mean, I know I have lots of problems. There's no doubt about that. But
yours cost extra. It cost extra money for those ones.
I told the wife, I said, hey, I got to interview Jerome, and I'm very excited about it because we had a brand new hood vent put in last year with our kitchen remodel. And, it's got a flap on it on the outside vent.
Yeah.
And I thought, okay, well, this is great. Nothing's going to get in there. I must have a whole flock of birds inside this pipe, and I am so angry right now.
Yes.
Not that I don't love birds, because I love the way they tweet. I just don't want them in my pipes and in a. Can you take care of that for people?
We do. So Pestmaster, one of our differentiators is we're a full spectrum pest control. So having the license for nuisance wildlife, I can come over and take care of those birds.
Okay.
What I also can do is I can treat in there for the mites and the fleas and the other parasites that they might have in there. So if somebody is, just a nuisance wildlife, they might not have the pesticide license, so they can go and take care of those parasites that are in your stove vent.
I'm just thinking, it's going to be a big price tag. Looks like I'm going to have to take out another loan.
For you? Yeah.
Yeah, right. Just because you have to deal with me. I understand that. But the wife would like to get them out of there. Her thought was, well, just wait until they have the babies and then they'll leave. But you can't do that. That's
we have to go see what's going on over there. We don't know what species they are. We want to identify the species before we go messing with them. There's some protected critters out here. There's some that are not. So the starlings are invasive.
Yes, my neighbor says they're starlings.
Yeah, so they're an invasive creature.
Yeah, like my kids.
Yes.
In a lot of ways. Okay. So tell us about the different treatments that you can do for people so that they don't have bugs around their house.
So, again, we are full spectrum pest control. For residentials, we have 3 services: Home, the Home Plus, and the Home Complete. The Home, we would come out 3 times a year, spring, summer, and fall, and we would do some preventive work for your insects, the bugs on your house.
Yep.
The Home Plus is for rodents plus the bugs. So we come out 4 times a year, spring, summer, fall, and then the winter. And we do treatment exclusion, trying to get them out, making sure that you're not getting any unwelcome guests on the inside. Mm-hmm. And then the third one is the Home Complete, which is the bugs, the rodents, and then the mosquitoes in the yard.
Wonderful.
And again, that comes to having the many licenses for the DEC, where you have to have the turf and ornamental so you can treat for the yard, for the mosquitoes and the fleas and the ticks.
Well, I can't say enough about Jerome being a wonderful person and a great company, and all his people are very educated and very professional. So how can people get a hold of you right now?
315-598-4644. 315-598-4046.
Say that one more time.
315-598-4046.
Excellent. Jerome, thank you so much for being here with us, and you have a great rest of the day, okay?
Thank you, Tom.
All right, you made it through one, Bob.
One down.
One down, and now we're going to talk with attorney John Murphy coming up next, and I think people are going to be just riveted to that conversation. Owner of Safe Harbor Wills and Trusts right here on The Local Show on 570 WSYR.
The Local Show, featuring conversations with business owners, employees, and local business leaders about their successes, challenges, and reasons for doing business. Right here in Central New York. The Local Show is locally produced by Zoey Advertising. Now your hosts, Tom and Steve.
We're back again, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us on The Local Show. Steve Roberts is no longer with us. Well, he's on vacation. It's not that kind of a no longer. He's out there golfing and fishing and doing what he does best, not being here. So there you go. I've got Bob Holdenbetz with me, an old friend and a businessman. And, I think that 3 of the people that we're going to be interviewing today are friends of yours.
Oh, nice. Well, all 3 of my friends are going to be here on one day.
Yeah.
Nice.
Connections that you have in the honey business. And all that. There was something that I wanted to ask Jerome that I forgot about. Oh, mayflies.
Oh, yes.
Now, yeah, do they get in the way of bee production? Bees don't care about mayflies.
Correct. Yep.
Okay, yeah, that's yet to come. Well, right now, it's our pleasure to bring on the show a perennial favorite. It's attorney John Murphy, owner of Safe Harbor Wills and Trusts. How are you there, John?
I'm doing wonderfully. I hope I'm more frequent than a perennial favorite.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you are. I don't know how to say it. You're on a lot.
I know. My name's on the studio. So.
Yeah, right. And you're on the studio, which is
you guys let me in
awesome.
every once in a while. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So, what's new with you? Aside from your health, you look wonderful.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, and in terms of keeping yourself in shape and eating right.
People ask, yes, it is intentional. So
Yes, right.
I've been working with a doctor. Dr. Wendy sits out in Fayetteville, and she and her staff are just wonderful.
Yeah.
And my wife's doing some stuff too, and because our retirement, right? We work with a lot of people with retirement.
Yes.
In our area, and I see people all the time come in, and they're much older than me, 80s or whatever, not in good health, and they have all this money.
Yeah.
And they've never done anything.
Yeah.
They never experienced great things to go out and do, whatever it is you like to do, right? So my wife and I like to travel, and I like to go golfing at great places with my brother.
Sure.
And so that's what we're doing, and we want to be in good shape to do those things.
Yeah.
And also, I've got a grandson now, so not that I didn't want to be in good shape for my children, but also for my grandson, so I can be around. So it's been great. It's a wonderful adventure.
How has the weight loss and the better health improved your golf game? And I'm being serious when I say that.
I started golfing seriously about 2.5 years ago. I was probably about a 28 handicap.
Yeah.
I was down to about 13.5 this year.
All right.
Now I've been taking lessons and trying to practice a lot. But my brother and I went to a great place called Bandon Dunes last fall. It's out in Oregon.
Okay.
You have to walk unless you have a medical excuse.
Right.
We walked about 8 miles a day.
Wow.
Yeah.
And how'd you feel when you were walking?
It was fine. It was great. Now we had a caddy. Which I would recommend to anybody. Sure. They just have such great knowledge of the course and save you strokes. But
sure.
Yeah, it's been great.
That's good.
It's been a wonderful adventure.
I never knew till I crested 50 that when people would say, if you don't have your health, you don't have anything. And I would be like, yeah, it's just a, no big deal phrase. Yeah. But it really does mean something. Like when you don't have your health, it's very difficult.
So there was an aha moment for me. It's interesting that you bring it up, John, because I travel for work.
Yes.
And I was in Israel and I was there for, I didn't fly back till like the next day after my meetings to come back to the U.S. So I had about a half a day and I just said, what can I do? I may never be back here. So we did a 4-hour tour of Jerusalem. Mm-hmm. And I'll never forget, the bus pulls up. It's full of New York City people. I could tell because they were very loud. And 80% were women, 20% were men because the men had died.
Oh,
so the women were there on their once-in-a-lifetime bucket list trip. And out of those women, probably 60% of them could not walk the stairs to see some of the sites because terrible. It's not up to modern day code. It was obviously built long ago. Right. There's no handrail.
Yeah.
And I just remember at the bottom of the stairs, half of them looking up and saying, you take a picture when you get up there, I can't do it. So they have the time, they have the money, but they just cannot do it physically. And that was an aha moment for me of like, wow.
Yeah. You
Yeah,
gotta be in
it's
good shape.
it's been great. So
when you take care of people, you're trying to get them. It's almost like you're saying, "Hey, what if you do live long?"
right. Well, there's both, right? So we always do planning around what do you need to live your life.
Yeah.
Right. We'll always make sure you have access to that first, and then what do you want to save to take care of your family, right after you're gone? Because really, estate planning is not about money. Right.
It's not.
It's about your family. It's about you and your family, right? And that's a tool, your money, your property, right? Your income. That's a tool for your life and your kids' life and your grandchildren's life, whatever is important to you.
Yeah.
Right. So we have some people who want to provide for nieces and nephews. They don't have children. Other people have charitable, intentions and things like that. Most people, it's their kids and their grandkids.
Right.
So it's really a tool to take care of people. Right.
So how early do we start planning?
Well, theoretically, you should have documents as soon as you turn 18. So you should have a power of attorney and a healthcare proxy because your parents can no longer do those things for you because you're an adult.
Yeah.
Okay. Right.
Yeah. Tell that to my kids.
Yeah. And then, hey, my kids for their 18th birthday, all got a power of attorney healthcare proxy.
Wow.
So I think $5, but hey, that's X amount of dollars you just got for free.
Right.
When you have a child, absolutely.
Yeah.
Right? You should have a will that has a guardian in it that you want. Probably the most important document you'll ever make. And hopefully you'll never use it for that purpose, right? Who's going to take care of your child if you can't take care of your child?
Yeah, right.
Right? And don't let the fact that maybe you and the other parent have a disagreement about who that should be.
Yeah.
Right? Each of you can select your person because the survivor of you is going to almost always be the natural guardian anyways.
Yeah.
Right? It's when you're both gone. So the last person to go has that choice. And it's a very important decision and hopefully you never need it. Or you have children with special needs. And if they inherit money from you because you died without a plan, they could lose their benefits.
Okay.
So you want to have the provision for a supplemental need or a special needs trust that can hold money for them and keep their benefits.
Yeah. Do you have to be wealthy?
No.
Everybody
should have a plan, right? Trusts are more so these days with the high tax rates. The state taxes currently don't kick in at a federal level till almost $13 million.
Wow.
So the biggest risk that people face for losing their life savings is long-term care, right? We're not really worried about estate taxes, okay? It's long-term care, which is going to be about $15,000 to $17,000 a month in central New York.
Can you believe that?
Yeah. Okay, so what we help people do for about 1/2 of 1 month in the nursing home, we can protect your home, other assets that you want to protect from long-term care, as well as keep your family out of probate after you pass. One of the biggest mistakes we see people make is, if I have a will, my family does not have to go through probate for my estate. That is exactly 180 degrees wrong. In order for a will to work, it must go through the surrogate court or probate. Okay, probate is actually Latin for prove the will.
Yes.
Was it an original will? Right? Was it properly executed? All those things we've talked about on the show before.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, the other mistake we see, Tom, is mom's in a nursing home. There's nothing we can do. Right? So we help people all the time. If somebody's already in a nursing home, still protect, 50%, sometimes all of it if you're married.
Yeah.
Okay. And don't always necessarily believe Medicaid when they make their decision.
Yeah.
So we just got 2 or 3 things for one family reversed. They were going to put a lien on the house. They penalized them for buying a funeral with money from a certain place, and we were able to get that all reversed and protect all of that for the family.
And that's something.
Question for you, John.
Sure.
Trust.
Yes.
So I feel like it's such an unknown term. Who are trusts for, and who should have a trust?
Well, lots of different circumstances within you want to have a trust, but generally for us, if you have a house, you should have a trust. Okay, because New York State does not have a way to transfer your home to your children without going through the probate process. Okay, unless you either have a trust, because a trust keeps assets out of probate. All right, keeps it from being public. A lot of people say, I'm going to give my house to my children. We really don't like you to do that. And here's why. If you sell the house when you're alive, your children are going to have to pay capital gains tax on their share of the proceeds. If you want to sell your house and your kids say, no, we're going to live there when you're dead. I mean, that's happened. We've had people call us, right? And there's nothing they can do because they gave the house to the kids. right? So all kinds of problems can rise up. You've lost control of your home. And if you do it wrong, you're going to lose your capital gains tax. You're going to lose your star exemptions. Put it in a trust that you control until you pass away, and then it's your rules who gets what, when they get it, how they get it.
Got it.
All right. Very important stuff. How can people get a hold of you?
They can give us a call
Yep.
at 315-451-4700. Go online, safeharborwillsandtrust.com. Happy to hear from you. You can get a hold of us then, and somebody will reach out to you, and we'll start the process with talking to a case manager, see if we're the right fit for you, see if you're a good fit for us, and then we move forward from there.
Excellent. John, thank you so much for being here, Counselor, and you have a great rest of the day.
This was incredibly professional and a pleasure to be at.
Nobody making little sounds or noises in the background or anything. All right. You have a great day, okay?
Thanks.
All right. Zach Paplione is coming up next. He's the owner of Spore to Fork right here on the local show on 570 WSYR.
The Local Show, featuring conversations with business owners, employees, and local business leaders about their successes, challenges, and reasons for doing business. Right here in Central New York. The Local Show is locally produced by Zoey Advertising. Now your hosts, Tom and Steve.
We're back into it, and we're back at it again. This is the Local Show with Tom and Steve. But today, Steve is on vacation, so I have Bob Holdenbetz with me, and I'm very happy to have Bob with me today. Bob, you having fun so far?
I'm having fun.
Yes.
And I'm going to really enjoy this next one because I know Zach well.
Very good. Very good. We have Zach Paplione with us, and we're going to be talking to him about his business called Spore to Fork. How are you there, Zach?
Doing well. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
I knew a Paplione. I know a lot. Of course, I'm full Italian, so
That would have been my dad, probably. Bob?
was he a drummer?
Drummer.
Yes. Yeah, I knew him very well. We gigged together a lot.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, back in the day. My father's a pretty popular musician who's now 82 and retired down to Georgia. But yes, I gigged with your dad several times. I was a bass player, so we got along real well because we were in the rhythm section.
The rhythm, yeah. That's great.
Isn't that wild?
That is wild.
That's something else. Well, look, the Spore to Fork thing. I see you have a box of mushrooms. I have no idea what you do. Bob knows you, but I don't. So give us the skinny. What do you do?
Yeah, so we do a bunch of stuff, mushroom related. So I started this company back in 2022, midsummer, and we started by just providing mushrooms to local restaurants and the occasional foodie.
Right.
So nothing too big. And I grow a bit. I work with a couple local farms, one of which is out in Phoenix, New York. That was Galvin Farms for a number of years, but he just sold, and there's a new owner that's called Bella Infinity now. So I source from them, and then I also have kind of the unique thing about the business is that I have a certification to sell foraged mushrooms. So
what's that mean?
That's like I'm out in the woods.
Really?
And I'm looking for morels and chanterelles and, maitake and all of this stuff.
Mushrooms have a reputation for
They do.
A, being hallucinogenic, B, being just plain poisonous. Mm-hmm. So you got to know what you're doing. How do you
really
know?
do. Yeah. So I'm a SUNY ESF grad.
Oh, okay.
2007, that's where I first learned about wild foods. And, thinking back, and I think somebody on another show one time asked me when I first had my first wild, mushroom or wild plant.
Yeah,
and I'm thinking like wild plants, like my Aunt Angie in Solvay used to go pick chagall.
Oh, yes.
I'm like, that's it.
Italian.
That's for
dandelions.
Yeah,
my grandmother would make
right?
the dandelions.
Yeah. And then, 2003, 2004, I was hiking with a bunch of, long-haired hippies. I was one of them at the time. We came across this bright orange mushroom. I think it was at Green Lakes, and this kid's like, "Oh, that's chicken of the woods. Like, we can eat that." And I'm like, "I don't think we should." But I looked into it. We could, and it's one of the mushrooms that is legally saleable here in New York.
No
and there's
kidding.
about 20 species or so that are legal to sell, but hundreds that are actually edible.
Right.
You just really have to know what you're doing, and that's that certification. It's a food safety certification, basically.
Wow.
You're going through learning identification, learning what species has lookalikes that could be dangerous. And,
Right. I mean, I do love mushrooms, and I guess I would eat the what's the really good
Portobello?
Portobello? Yeah. I'll eat those, a lot. I love to make a mushroom soup. Love a mushroom. Hungarian mushroom soup is very good.
Maybe even some shiitake.
Yeah,
right?
some
Those are
shiitake
common.
mushrooms. Yeah, with steak.
Yeah.
And onions. Yeah, I like that. There's something I was going to ask you. Oh, my wife. So my wife comes to me the other day and I got an Amazon package. So, well, now what's this? The 100th Amazon package to come in, and she said, "That's my new coffee." I go, "Coffee? What is
Mushroom coffee?
Mushroom coffee?
Yeah.
What? Tell me about that. Is it good, bad, or indifferent?"
It's good. And it really depends on the company you're getting it from too.
Okay.
So
hers was Razy or Raise? Or?
Rise. Rise is a good one.
Okay.
So so in the world of medicinal mushrooms, like that's where you start looking at things like that. The mushroom coffees, there's tinctures, there's capsules you can take, and that's strictly for the medicinal benefits of mushrooms.
I see.
And there are so many. Traditionally, you look at traditional Chinese medicine.
Yeah, Eastern medicine, sure.
And they use mushrooms for a number of things, like number of ailments. And now you start looking through actual peer-reviewed scientific journals, and there's article after article after article now where we're coming out with evidence that these things are actually doing what people have known them to do for hundreds of years. Wow. So it's really cool. So mushroom coffee is one of those things you can comes in like tinctures and
I was afraid of it. I said, I don't know, could this be poisonous? Will I have an allergic reaction? Because I think that in the mushroom world, it's a fungus among us, and you don't know whether you're going to have a reaction to it. It's one of those highly reactive things in the body sometimes.
Yeah, generally there are some folks that have a mushroom allergy.
Yeah.
So if you have that, it's generally not dependent on the actual species you have. So like you could, there's hundreds of different types of mushrooms. If you're allergic to one, you're very likely going to be allergic to another one.
Yeah.
So, you would probably know that by the time you're an adult, so, but there's a lot of different things. And, when you're looking at wild mushrooms, anybody who's out there and interested in foraging and getting out there and learning their land a little bit more, that's one of those things. Like, if you have to have, I always say you got to have your field guide, to know what you're looking at.
Yeah.
And the other really important thing is you have to have someone that you can trust to bounce things off of. And so I'm always here for that too. So I have one of our main outlets through media is Instagram.
Yep.
So I do a lot of cooking as well.
Okay.
So I produce a ton of recipes for mushrooms too, which are all free. So
that's nice.
You can go check out @Spore on Instagram. But that's one of those things. If you're trying a new mushroom, like cook it well, and try a small amount. But before that, make sure it's properly identified.
Yeah.
So what's interesting is food safety is your background, and that's your full-time job.
Yeah.
So
what's that?
You're currently at?
Oh, I'm at Syracuse University.
University. Before that, he was at Wegmans. Mm-hmm. Yep. So that's his background. Also, a lot of culinary. That's how I got first introduced to Zach. Was it Board and Bar Charcuterie?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was there. There was an event going on with Plum and Mule, and they had mushrooms on all these different dishes that came out. And here was the most impressive part: is was it King Trumpet mushrooms that you made that resembled scallops?
The scallops,
and tasted like scallops.
No kidding.
Yeah,
no joke. There's so many cool varieties that you can do stuff like that with, and even if I'm not vegetarian.
Right.
But I'll make King Trumpet mushroom scallops because the stems on these things are big and they're meaty. Yeah. You slice them like a scallop, cook it exactly like a scallop, and a little white wine, thyme, butter.
Wonderful.
And it's hard to tell the difference.
A lot of nutritional value to it.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
So that's the other thing about mushrooms is eating them raw versus eating them cooked. Mm-hmm. Don't you have to get them heated and cooked in order to get some of the nutrients and be able to digest it?
Yeah, it's the digestible part that you got to look at. So that's a good question. So sometimes people will I'll sell somebody a box kind of like this. We've got like chestnut mushrooms, oyster mushrooms, snow oyster mushrooms. People are like, I just pull them apart and put them on my salad. Not the greatest idea. So the compound that holds the mushroom together and gives it structure is chitin, which is the same thing that's like creates the shell of a lobster or like the shell of a potato bug. So when you cook a mushroom, it breaks that down and it makes it more digestible.
Okay. Yeah, I always like to cook my potato bugs before eating them.
You really have to.
A nice braise. Yeah, that's good.
And the other part about mushroom, lion's mane especially.
Yeah.
My son
lion's mane.
got me into lion's mane mushrooms, and you gave me some in a big box. So we dried those out. And we put those on a lot of things because they help with the, what do they help with again?
It's cognitive function.
Yes.
You should know that after eating some.
that.
But that's like one of the main functional mushrooms right now is lion's mane.
Longevity experts are talking about it all over the place.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
And I would have never thought that mushroom foraging, and I've bounced a lot of things off you because after I started looking, I'm like, wow, look at these mushrooms. So I remember I took a photography course, and online photography course, the first time they said, upload 20 different photos of things red. And it was the first time I saw so many cardinals in my yard. Same thing. You're like, oh, there's so many mushrooms around. Now I'm like, now when I go for a hike, I see them everywhere. Yes.
Once you get that image in your mind, if you're out hiking, you're going to see them.
You've encouraged me to go foraging. I'm going to go to Wegmans and forage for groceries.
You can forage this box. Like, this is your gift. Thank you for having me on today.
Thank you so much. Zach Paglione right there. Very interesting guy and doing some really good stuff in the area of mushrooms. Owner of Spore to Fork, and it's spore2fork.com. Spore2fork.com. Check it out today. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome. Sean Dupree is up next. He's the owner of Top Notch Roofing. Stick right here on The Local Show on 570 WSYR.
The Local Show, featuring conversations with business owners, employees, and local business leaders about their successes, challenges, and reasons for doing business. Right here in Central New York. The Local Show is locally produced by Zoey Advertising. Now your hosts, Tom and Steve.
Back into it and back at it. We're just all a buzz here at The Local Show.
No pun intended, right?
No, it was totally intended. Yeah, absolutely. Bob Holdenbetz is with me because Steve Roberts is on vacation again. And so, Bob, you keep bees.
I do, and I'm excited about this next segment because some of my beehives have leaky roofs.
They
and
do.
I'm going to need to do something quickly.
Very good. We're going to talk with Sean Dupree right now. He's the owner of Top Notch Roofing. So you get high for a living.
That's right. We do.
Up on those roofs
Every day.
Oh my goodness! I can remember my grandfather going up on a roof, and he had a house up on Highland Ave. So you know how big those darn houses are. And that man, I tell you what, World War II vet, he used to walk that roof, no harnesses, no nothing, and do little patches and repairs. And I never got up there with him. I would stand on the bottom of the rung of the ladder, of course.
Right.
Yeah. But you're all certified and OSHA compliant and all that.
You can't get away with that these days.
Yeah. How long have you been in the roof business?
Well, I started roofing when I was a teenager.
Yeah.
You know, worked for a construction company in my teenage years, and we've developed into a full construction company with a roofing division, and we do a roof every day, and we do hundreds of roofs a year.
Golly. I bet you weren't the kid who hung on the bottom rung.
No,
you had to go up.
I was on the top of the roof, laying over the edge and looking down. That was me.
Yeah. Do you do any roof cleaning by any chance?
We do.
Oh, really?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, because I notice around my neighborhood, a lot of moss and stuff.
Yeah, call Dupree Cleaning Services, 315-247-0628.
There you go. Go give that number out again, slower, so people can write it down.
315-247-0628.
All right.
Dupree Cleaning Services. Nice little plug there.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, tell them Tom sent you from the Local Show, and they'll give you absolutely nothing. But they'll do a good job. That's for sure. Bob, you got any questions about roofing?
So I've got two questions. One is, I notice, maybe it's just me, but it seems like there's a lot of metal roofs.
There are.
Now, much more than before. Do you do metal roofs?
We do metal roofs.
Okay,
yes.
so why would somebody decide a metal roof over an asphalt roof?
It's preference. It's just preference, really. The metal roofing industry has come a long way.
Yeah.
The quality of the metal is much better than it was 20 years ago.
Okay.
They have now we have a standing seam roof, which is different than your typical corrugated roof, which a lot of places still have.
Tell us about that. What does that mean?
So standing seam roof is all hidden fasteners. You don't see any of the fasteners.
I like that.
And it's a mechanical fasten that you roll the edge of the roof over, and it locks together. It's more expensive.
Yeah. More aesthetic. Also
it
looks
is more aesthetic. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. definitely is.
That's
kind of newer technology. You're starting to see more and more of that on homes.
my problem with the metal roof that I always thought was once you have a dent on there, how do you repair it?
You can't.
Yeah, you see. So aesthetically, if say we had one of those hailstorm freak ones that come out of nowhere, what are you going to do? You have to get the whole roof replaced.
And is it a lot louder when it rains?
It is. You can definitely hear it. And that all depends on your insulation values too.
Yeah.
If you have more insulation, you may not hear it. If you're, you have 2 or 3 stories to your roof, you may not hear it downstairs. You may hear it upstairs. So it does play a part in it in making that decision whether you want asphalt or metal.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So here's the other question I have. I noticed a spot in my attic that has moisture in the plywood, but the asphalt shingles look great. So I just want to replace the plywood decking of my roof, but just keep the shingles. Possible?
If you can come up with that way to do that, you're hired.
Yeah.
Gotcha. I'm gonna need new shingles and everything in that part. And it's probably 2 pieces of plywood.
Right.
So what would your recommendation be for something like that? I still need to match up the old roof with the new roof. It's probably 7 years old.
Yeah, you come in. We would just come in and assess it, and we would take that spot out take the shingles.
Pull the
out,
shingles off. Yeah.
remove the plywood, put new plywood down, and then patch the new shingles back in. And there's always a little bit of variation in your color because you get fading, you get a little bit of fading.
Yeah.
But over time, that fading will catch up, and within 2 or 3 years, because your shingles are still so new.
Yeah.
It would only take a couple of years for them to kind of catch up and blend, and you wouldn't even see it. And that variation is so small that most people won't ever see it. You're going to notice it. I'll notice it, but somebody just walking down the street would never pick it out.
So tell us a little bit about why top-notch roofing might be a better choice than some of the other companies out there.
Well, quality meets affordability. That's why.
I've heard that somewhere.
Yeah. So we use an Atlas shingle, which is a little bit different than what a lot of the roofers in the Syracuse area
Is that a brand name or something?
It's a brand name. Okay. They offer better warranties. In my opinion, it's the best shingle in the market.
Right.
We use a different style drip edge than what most companies use. We use a 4-inch nail flange instead of a 2-inch nail flange.
And what's the benefit of a nail flange?
It gives you a better surface on the edge of the roof. You've got metal that comes back 4 inches, and then you've got your overlayments that go on top of it, and then your shingles. It creates a better corner.
Gotcha.
And we prefer that over the 2-inch drip edge.
Is your goal to just do residential type shingling? Residents, right? You don't do any commercial.
We do commercial as well.
Oh, you do?
We do, yeah. EPDM commercial roofs, yeah.
Excellent. So when you're doing a residential roof, is it just existing homes, or do you do new homes as well?
We do new homes as well.
Oh, wow.
We're actually building a new building right now down in the south side of Syracuse, and obviously we'll roof that as well.
Yeah.
And that's actually going to be standing seam.
Okay. Architectural shingles still a thing?
They're the biggest thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I always, when we were looking for a home, I always said to the wife, we got to have a house with architectural shingles, because the old style are just the kind of square, very, very squared off. They don't have that, kind of.
They don't have any design.
Right, design. Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. How about the colors? Are there a variety of colors with the roofs you have?
There's all kinds of colors. There's so many colors that it's hard to decide what you want for a color on your roof. It's probably the most challenging thing for people when they decide to replace their roof. Are we going to stay with the same color, or are we going to change it?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Here's a question. Skylights. So that seems to be always a tough issue with roofs. Is that so? What's your opinion about that? What's your perspective on that?
Well, personally, I don't like skylights myself. I don't like any kind of penetration in the roof that's not necessary. But people do like them. People use them, and they make the materials to dry them in and secure them to the roof so that they do last a long time.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with putting one in your roof.
Yep.
We put them in all the time. We're putting 3 in this new building that we're doing right now.
Yeah.
You put a flashing kit around it, and then you shingle up to it, and it, dries everything in, so you don't have to worry about them leaking.
When you get a new roof, I hear people talking about this expression called re-roofing, and you roof over and all that. Is that advisable?
You can go over old shingles. You can't go any more than 2 layers. So if you have 2 layers on there, you should never put a 3rd layer. Insurance companies don't have to insure your roof
I see.
over two layers. And when you roof over, you don't get the full warranty from the manufacturer.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So it's best to strip down, really.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and the cost of stripping it down isn't a whole lot. It typically doesn't cost a whole lot more to strip it down and just go down to your plywood and
Right.
re-roof it.
And then, of course, that allows you to see if there's any problems with the plywood. And
Yeah, and a lot of times you don't know.
Right.
You know, there's several roofs that will pull the shingles off, and they'll have 10 pieces of plywood that are wet and need to be replaced. Nobody knew it.
So here's a big question as we wrap up. How long does it take?
1 day.
Get out of here.
Typically
Really?
1 day.
On
a standard-
Would you think that?
In and out. You should rename it In and Out Roofing.
Somebody might not like that.
Great. Well, look, Top Notch Roofing, you can see their website, topnotchroofingcny.com, topnotchroofingcny.com, 247-0628, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, 247-0628. Call them today. Get on the list and go to town. Hey, thanks a lot, Sean, and you have a great rest of the day.
Thanks for having me, guys.
All right. Kicking off hour number 2 of the local show, we're going to have a conversation with Brendan Backus. He's the owner and master distiller at Lock 1 Distilling Company. Sheila Ostrom stops by, owner of Senior Home Care and Alzheimer's Solutions. Sev Ganella, the owner of Clean All. And then Michelle, help me with the last name again.
You got this, Tom. You got this.
Persecino. Yes, Persecino Samurai.
Yes.
Yes, she must be really important with 2 last names. Owner of Willow Health and Wellness. Stick around. Hour number 2 of the local show starts really soon.
The Local Show, featuring conversations with business owners, employees, and local business leaders about their successes, challenges, and reasons for doing business. Right here in Central New York. The Local Show is locally produced by Zoey Advertising. Now your hosts, Tom and Steve.
Welcome back and welcome in. This is hour number 2 of the local show. Get ready for engaging interviews with Brendan Backus. He's the owner and master distiller at Lock 1 Distilling Company. Sheila Ostrom stops by. She's the owner of Senior Home Care and Alzheimer's Solutions. Sev Ganella will tell us about pools. He's the owner of Clean All and has an interesting business. And then Michelle Persecino Samurai. She is the owner of Willow Health and Wellness, and maybe I'll get a back rub. Do you think she would?
Probably not.
No,
but you
probably
can ask.
not. Oh my goodness! I watch, and I'm going to talk about this gal that I watch from Florida on YouTube, who is a chiropractor, and we were talking about how videos go viral and get lots of views and things on YouTube. And the thing that makes this woman unique is that she wears like the most outrageous clothes sometimes. And I don't think she did it on purpose. I think that's just her style. And then she does these, a combination massage and chiropractic manipulation.
Yep.
And
you hear the cracking.
And you hear it, yeah. And I never knew how satisfying that could be. So now I watch it every night, and my wife's like, "What are you watching?" And I go, "It makes me tired," and I go to sleep. Oh, wacky stuff. Anyway, we've got a new guy to the show. His name is Brendan Backus, and he's the owner and master distiller at Lock 1 Distilling Company. How are you there?
I'm great. How are you?
Very good, my friend. I have been up to Lock 1. I have looked over the bridge and looked at and I've even had my boat up there.
Great view.
Great view. That's a wonderful little place. And your place is a jewel. I'm surprised. Are you always packed?
We are. Yeah. Our space is relatively small. We don't have a huge tasting room, but we are open Mondays. We're closed Tuesdays. We're open on Wednesday through Sunday, and Monday again the next week. But some nights, during the week it's a little slower. You can find a seat in there, but on the weekends you got to get there pretty early because we're pretty full.
So how long have you owned this business?
So technically on paper started in 2015.
Okay.
Didn't release our first product until 2017 because that's how long the paperwork and permitting process takes between
For
the
alcohol.
federal
Oh.
and state government. So,
Golly.
little unique piece of information as a distillery.
Yes.
We also report to the feds, whereas a lot of the local breweries and wineries do not have to do that.
Yeah.
So there's one more layer because the alcohol we're making is a little more potent.
I
So-
see. Yeah.
So yeah, it took about 2 years to get through all the paperwork and permitting and label approvals, formula approvals, price posting of our products. So we learned a lot along the way. We did everything in house. So
Yeah. But you're also a restaurant.
we are. That came later.
Oh, it did? Okay.
Yeah, that came in 2018.
I
So
gotcha.
we released Rise Vodka, our flagship product, in on Memorial Day in 2017, and didn't have a tasting room. Just kind of was doing sales out of the middle room and retail and wholesale. And then we actually got a grant from New York State. We got a Restore New York grant,
Okay.
and that allowed us to open the tasting room probably 4 to 5 years ahead of what we initially planned.
Oh, that's nice.
So
So-
it's beautiful, and we're happy that it happened when it did.
There are a lot of people out there doing, small batch homebrew beer.
Yep.
You hear about that. What do they call that? Boutique beer or microbrewery? That's it.
Yep.
Yeah, you got it. So there's a lot of that. You don't hear a lot about distilling.
Yeah, last I
vodkas
checked, there's
and
like
brew-
600 breweries in New York State, and I think 115 distilleries.
Okay. And what made you want to go into that type of business?
So this is a good story. So this is interesting because you brought up
I hope it's
watching
good.
the chiropractor.
Yeah.
But as the story goes,
So kind of a cool story. I'm a fabricator, welder by trade.
Okay.
And I was working on a big project in Albany. So I was staying there in a hotel for weeks at a time. So I was working night shift, and the Moonshiner show came on. And I started watching. I got intrigued. And I was like, being a fabricator and seeing these cool stills and copper. And I'm like, I want to try that. I can build one of those. So I got online and ordered a bunch of parts and built a still and started playing around and fell in love with the science and the fun behind doing it.
Right.
And I didn't think about it as a business at that point. It was just a hobby, make something from this grain, from that grain, and play with different formulas and recipes and taste it. And it's amazing how many different things you can create.
So did you drink vodkas and bourbons and things, whiskey before that?
Yes and no. I wasn't a big drinker, and I'm still not.
Which is good.
Yeah, it is. The whiskey that I got into was Crown Royal, which is a blended Canadian whiskey. I wasn't really a bourbon guy, but as you do this, and Bob Honey's probably in the same way.
Yeah, exactly.
Your palate develops and changes, and you find these different flavors and profiles, and it kind of intrigues you, and you just keep going crazy with it.
Yeah. A lot of my friends who are not so sophisticated use the term whiskey and bourbon interchangeably. Is there a difference?
Oh, absolutely. Here's the, let me get this right. Yeah. So bourbon is whiskey. Whiskey is not bourbon.
Yeah, okay.
So
I'm confused.
Yep. Well, we'll try to straighten it out for you a little bit. Bourbon, a few laws with bourbon, and these are federal laws.
Okay.
And this didn't come into play until 1968. So bourbon, although it existed, didn't become a commodity of the United States until 1968.
Oh,
so it's not as old as people actually think as far as being a real government regulated entity.
Yeah.
So bourbon has to be 51% corn. And then you can use as many other grains as you want. Typically, people use rye and a little bit of malted barley. Now, our bourbon is a wheated bourbon, so we use corn and wheat, and we use no malted barley. But by law, you have to be 51% corn.
I gotcha.
After that, can't be distilled above 160 proof. It can't be put in a barrel above 125 proof. And the barrel has to be a brand new, unused white oak barrel.
yeah,
There's
you
a
thought
lot
it was
of
just, you
rules.
thought it was just
Yeah.
So where does whiskey come in, right? So let's just say
Yeah.
I make a batch, it's bourbon, it's corn and rye, and it meets the criteria for bourbon. I put it in a brand new barrel. Okay, I got bourbon. I dump that barrel. I make the same batch with corn and rye and put it in that barrel again.
Yeah.
Now the barrel's used.
Okay.
Now I can call it whiskey. I can't call it bourbon.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So what's the difference between your whiskeys and bourbon compared to like, a Jack Daniel's or a Kentucky bourbon or something like that?
So the biggest difference is we do the wheated bourbon. So the secondary grain is wheat instead of rye. Okay. I compare this to wheat bread versus rye bread, right? And cornbread.
Okay.
That gives you the best difference in the flavor profile.
Yeah.
So a little softer, smoother, ages a little faster. It's just a little different. Our climate's different for aging the barrels. So although New York is crazy because it's beautiful one day and freezing cold the next day, that's actually really good for the whiskey barrels.
Okay.
And our whiskey is unclimate controlled in our barrel house.
Okay.
So it sees an extreme temperature fluctuation, which drives it in and out of the wood and ages it actually a little faster.
I see. Is there any health benefits to whiskey or bourbon?
Oh, that's so the federal government doesn't allow us to claim any health benefits, but why did whiskey survive prohibition? Because of health benefits. It was prescribed as a medicine, and that's how the distilleries actually survived prohibition. So take that for what it's worth.
Back in the Old West, I got shot once, and they used whiskey on my wound.
That was a thing, yeah, absolutely.
Now, you're considered a New York State farm distillery,
I am.
right?
New York State Class D farm distillery.
What does that mean?
75% of our grains have to come from New York State, and actually 100% of our grains do.
Yeah.
That's really the regulation. We can only make 75,000 gallons a year. There's some stipulations with that.
I heard you have a honey bourbon as well.
We do.
Where do you get your honey from?
Yeah, I get my honey from Bob over here.
Great collaboration, yeah. And this is our barrel aged honey, so it's pretty interesting because you'll do it in 2 years in a bourbon barrel, empty it out, put that in a holding tank, the bourbon. Give me the barrel. I'll fill it with honey for anywhere from 4 to 8 months. Then I'll empty it, and then we have this barrel aged honey.
Wow.
And then you put the bourbon back in, keep it in there for about a year or so?
Yeah.
It's a whole
And then they've got the
thing.
honey bourbon.
That
Great
is
symbiosis.
wonderful. Well, I encourage people to get up there. Lock One Distilling Company, get there early, obviously, because it's a very popular place. LockOneDistillingCo.com. LockOneDistillingCo.com. That's the website. Brendan, thank you so much. I'd love to have you back again.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Have a great rest of the day. Sheila Ostrom is coming up next. She's the owner of Senior Home Care and Alzheimer Solutions. Stick around for that right here on The Local Show on 570 WSYR.
The Local Show, featuring conversations with business owners, employees, and local business leaders about their successes, challenges, and reasons for doing business. Right here in Central New York. The Local Show is locally produced by Zoey Advertising. Now your hosts, Tom and Steve.
So happy you found us. You've got The Local Show on your dial, on your device, on whatever. And you're looking on YouTube, so you see a picture of me and my co-host for the day, which is Bob Holdenbetz, an old friend of mine and an entrepreneur, a beekeeper. You don't raise bees, you keep bees.
That's correct. Yes.
That's something else. How long you been doing the bee thing?
9 years this year.
Is it really?
Yeah. It started off as just 2 hives with me and my son, and here we are 45 hives later.
Wow, 45.
You did it for the kids. Yeah, you would wanted it to be like a science project, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Then it turned a hobby gone wild.
And you live in kind of although you're in a beautiful neighborhood, you're kind of on the fringe where you got some country and some land there.
Yeah.
Do you do anything else? I never asked you. Do you do goats or chickens or anything?
We did do chickens for a little while. We fed the local foxes our chickens.
Oh my God.
So we're into the ecosystem that way.
Very nice.
We just did that for a little while.
All right. Well, that's good. So Bob's with me, and we're going to talk with Sheila Ostrom, a favorite here on The Local Show. She's the owner of Senior Home Care and Alzheimer's Solutions. You can see her website. It's SyracuseSenior.com. SyracuseSenior.com. I encourage you to get over there. How are you, Sheila?
I'm good. I used to have chickens too.
Yeah, really?
Yes, we had chickens for many years.
Uh-huh.
And
For dinner or for
No, for eggs.
Eggs, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and there's a difference between egg chickens and meat chickens.
There are. You
Yeah.
can bring that mic down a little further in front of your face. There you go.
And we loved having the chickens. They were fun. They were like pets because we only had 6 at a time.
Yeah. So what'd you do? Did you sell them after a while or what?
No, we just kept the eggs and gave them away, whatever we didn't use. And then the chickens eventually, we fed them to the local fox and to the hawks.
Oh, I see.
So we had a great pen for them and we let them roam when we were outside and stuff.
Right,
But
right.
man, those hawks were aggressive. They'd come down, pluck them right in the middle of
No
the daylight.
kidding.
That's a lot of protein. That is a lot of protein. Yeah.
So yeah, but we had them for a long. We had chickens for a long time, about 7 years. It was a kid thing. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
We had the gals from Rent the Chicken.
I know them.
Yeah, they're wonderful people. And she was telling me that like if you keep the bloom on the egg, you can keep eggs out on your counter for like 3 weeks.
Yes.
Before you wash them off and put them in the fridge.
Yeah, you can't wash them
Yeah, don't wash them.
if you're going to keep them on your counter.
Very interesting.
Ours never lasted that long.
Yeah, right, you eat 'em up.
Yeah, we have 5.
And
chickens at a time.
the new science on eggs and everything all the health benefits, right, is stunning. And I have eggs every day.
Yeah.
So,
Eggs-
I'm not afraid of it.
Eggs have always been a good food, but they
Right.
come in and out of fad.
Yes. Yeah.
But and especially with my seniors, eggs are.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we could talk all day about things that seniors should eat and things of that nature. But
Right.
eggs are like a miracle food.
They really are.
They don't need teeth if they have a lot of dental issues or missing a lot of teeth. Eggs give a lot of protein. They're easy to eat. They're
Absolutely.
comfort food, and you can cook them so many different ways.
And
so.
you need cholesterol for the brain, too, for cognitive function. And there was one health person in longevity that I follow on YouTube who says, remember, when you're eating an egg, it's like eating a whole chicken. So
I never thought of it that way.
Yeah, you're eating all of the everything that's in a whole chicken. So you can think of it that way. What does your business do? Why don't you tell us what your business does?
So, Senior Home Care Solutions is a home care company, and we specialize in companion care for seniors, and we also specialize in care for seniors with different types of dementia, Alzheimer's or Lewy body dementia, frontal temporal. There's 120 types of dementia out there that have been diagnosed now.
This year, I have heard a lot about pioneering drugs that are supposed to be miraculous.
Yes, there is a lot of stuff going on for treatment. There is no cure. I want to make that very clear.
Right.
But we haven't had anything new in this world in, 15 years of any significance because this stuff hasn't been able to get through the trials and things of that nature. So there is new things that are happening that look promising, and it's wonderful because we even have locally, we have places here that are doing these trials. So you can actually take place in the trials and Velocity Clinical Research. They're right in Brittenfield. Yes. And they do a lot of these trials, and it's great because without the trials, we don't have the medications. Yeah. So there's lots of things that they're starting to do, and and you've got to always look at the benefit and the risk because they all have risks. Yeah. So you have to make sure that you're choosing the right thing for your situation.
There's a couple, like I say, longevity doctors that I follow on YouTube, and they have also said that they're finding new science on diet and how diet and a lot of supplements that we normally would take, the effect of good supplements on cognitive. Right?
Yeah,
well, we were talking about lion's mane earlier.
Yes. There is so much science out there on the gut brain, whole biodome. And my daughter is at Penn State in this world and part of her world. And it's amazing the conversations we have. But I believe there is a true connection between what we eat and how it affects our brain. Yeah. And, it's
because I think if you look back to the even the 20s or the turn of the century in the 1900s into that there weren't as many cases of Alzheimer's. It just kind of like started to grow and grow and grow.
Yeah, it wasn't diagnosed as well either. Yeah.
And now we're living a lot longer as well, right?
Right.
So that plays into it too.
It does. We live a lot longer and we live a lot sicker. And we've talked about this for a long time. And, you know, we have families that we talk to every day, and they have to make some decisions. And it's hard because we can keep somebody going for such a long time, but it may not be the right decision.
Right.
So I think we're going to see changes in that as well.
Yeah, you want to live well. There's a gal at the gym, a woman who's of Chinese descent, and she is 82 or 83, comes to the gym. Sometimes during the good weather, she rides her bike to the gym.
Yeah.
And then she walks and she says hello to everybody. And it's funny, she's friends with everyone. And, you know, that type of a person is very cognitive, you know, and I think that, you know, being in shape and keeping yourself in shape and keeping active. Is very important.
And the social aspect of it.
The social aspect,
Yeah, absolutely. The number one way you can keep yourself out of a nursing home is by eating well, exercising, and being social.
Yeah.
We do need it, even though some people don't think they need it. You need all those things. And inactivity is one of our biggest issues in the United States.
Yeah.
You don't see other countries where people fail, you know, at such a young age because of inactivity.
And they might not have an option in some other countries. So, you know, like you look at Italy or Ireland and stuff, there's still a lot of people who live rurally and go for walks every day, not because they're deliberately going for the walk, but because they have to go get the milk. Or to
and they
take
don't.
care of the,
And even in the cities, and that is the big difference between Europe and the United States. You can't buy bread in a plastic bag. It's made fresh every day. It doesn't have preservatives. And the rules overseas and the rules here do not.
Yeah.
They're not the same.
And Bob is very well traveled. What are some of the countries you've been to?
I've been to most countries in Europe and Israel. I travel a lot to Israel. And I was just thinking about France. So many older people, like you said, they've got to go to the bakery every day, and their public transportation, they're going
They don't have
up
cars.
and down, and downstairs all the time. These people that are in their
see?
80s and 90s, so they're staying active.
And it does make a huge difference.
Yeah.
Really quickly, you looking for people to work for you? Or?
We're always looking for good people. So if you're interested, reach out to us at 469-1000 or check out our website at SyracuseSenior.com. We're always looking for good people, and especially daytime people right now.
Excellent.
Morning people, 8 to noon.
Excellent. All right. Sheila Ostrom right there. Always a pleasure to have you on. Owner of Senior Home Care and Alzheimer Solution, 469-1000. You have a great rest of the day.
You too. This was a great new conversation for us. I really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Sev Gadella's up next, owner of Clean All right here in Syracuse on The Local Show on 570 WSYR.
The Local Show, featuring conversations with business owners, employees, and local business leaders about their successes, challenges, and reasons for doing business. Right here in Central New York. The Local Show is locally produced by Zoey Advertising. Now your hosts, Tom and Steve.
And we're on our way, traipsing through a weekend together with The Local Show. I'm Tom Soccocio Jr., creative director over here at Zoey Advertising, along with my good friend, Bob Holdenbetz. You were thinking I was going to say Steve, but Steve's just a guy. No, he's a friend too, I guess.
He's a guy on vacation.
And he's on vacation. And I believe, this makes 74 vacations for him. So he's doing okay. Successful businessman. Bob, it's also wedding season for me because aside from doing this, I have a wedding business still, where I, DJ, mainly people who have money. So I got to be... I take all kinds, and I still enjoy it and everything. And I got a gig coming up here in Marcellus, and our next guest, Sev Ganella, I believe that you're familiar with Marcellus.
Yes, I've lived there for 32 years.
Oh, okay. Well, geez, I didn't know it was that good. Sev is the owner of Clean All, by the way. I got to play at some place over there. What's it called?
The Albert House. Probably the Albert House.
No.
I don't think they were wedding at the Albert House.
No, but yes,
Small wedding.
The bowling alley?
Not the bowling alley. What is there another place that's not too far? It's right in Marcellus. Is it a golf course?
There's a golf course, Sunset Ridge.
Sunset Ridge. That's where I got to play.
It's a great place.
Is it nice? Yeah. I think I'm going to go check it out because I haven't been there before. And we have our they have the photo booth and everything, our big show. Okay. So I got to just scope it out first.
When you're going out there to do that?
Well, we should go within the next week or so. I'll have to do that. Can we stop by?
Stop by and visit. Okay. Yeah, absolutely.
Really? Will you have food?
I will. Okay. There is always food there. And I have a pizza oven outside, a wood-fired pizza oven.
Oh, those are great.
There's a flagpole out front. And if you're driving by my house and the pizza flag is flying, that means the pizza oven's on.
Oh, goodness.
Stop in for a slice.
I guess I would have to not be concerned about carbs that day and just do it. That's great.
The pizza flag. Now we know.
Yeah, very nice. Okay, well, hey, Sev, why don't you, Bob doesn't know who the heck you are. Give us your background. And
Hey, Bob. Well, I own Clean All Pool Center. It's a swimming pool store, service, everything to do with pools, except we do not build pools. So commercial, residential, rebuilding, tile work, plaster work, liners, filtration systems. We have a water management program for commercial pools. Clean All, I'm the fourth generation at Clean All. My great-grandmother started selling bleach on the north side of Syracuse a long, long time ago, and it's progressed to this. So that's what we do. Everything to do with pools, we do, and we do it well.
And hot tubs.
And hot
we don't
tubs,
want to leave hot tubs out because we're still tossing that around.
Yeah.
I have all sorts of things I want to buy that my wife won't let me. You know how they say that money doesn't make you happy? Mm-hmm. I disagree. Money makes me happy, and I would like to use it to buy something, but I just,
surprise her, that's all. Just surprise her.
Yeah, because, here in this climate, and we've talked about this before, hot tubs are a pretty cool thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not
you
cool.
Really, to do it well
things.
here, you need a hot tub and a pool, right? Because of the
don't
seasons.
get me going.
Yeah. I was in my hot tub last night until I started seeing a little lightning off in the.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Back out.
I was surprised. I was reading a book, and I had just the little light on in the room, and all of a sudden I saw a flash. And I'm thinking, oh, great! Now what's happening out there? And it was just rain and thunder and lightning. Yeah. That's something else. It wasn't wet this morning though. Were you guys? Where was it? No,
we didn't get any rain. No.
Yeah, up in Cicero we were okay too. So you talk about pools a lot. Do you do anything else over at Clean All? Or, are you just strictly pools now? Have you kind of morphed into that?
So to keep my service guys busy in the winter, besides commercial pools, we do plowing. I've got 15 trucks out there on the road during the winter.
Not a lot of that this year.
No, not at all. We're a chemical manufacturer, so we do other manufacturing chemicals. We sell some things overseas, Saudi Arabia, Japan, Mexico, things like that.
Do you have any of that type of wax that takes the scratches out and puts a new finish on your car?
I do not do that.
You don't have any of that stuff.
But if you stop by Dealer Source at our location, that's another entity that's not part of us. They have all those other detailing places.
No kidding.
838 Erie Boulevard West. Our store is right there, but if you go through our store into the back, there's Dealer Source. And if you're a car detailer, anything you want, they have.
Oh, okay.
Wow. You need to have them on the show.
Yeah, that's a very interesting too.
I'll hook you up.
Yeah, right. So about pools, is this the time where people start opening their pools?
Not yet, but we're booking right now.
Okay.
And the schedule is filling up.
Why wouldn't you open your pool now?
You want to go swimming now?
Well, I don't know. Some days it gets kind of warm, and if you're an avid swimmer.
Water still right now is about 45, 48, 50 degrees.
Well,
a little cool.
That solves the cold plunge thing, because they tell me that's good for longevity, is cold plunging.
No, what I tell people that have their pools with the trampoline cover, the safety cover, is pull your plugs out, keep the cover on, put some chemicals in there, turn things on, but don't really open it up. Wait till the pollen falls and everything's done, and then open it up.
What is that? Look at you guys got pollen falling. And you must know that with your bees.
Yeah.
See, I did that.
Exactly.
I did that on purpose.
Yes.
How does that all relate? When pollen falling and the bees, do the bees make the pollen or do they just use the pollen?
They use the pollen.
Okay.
What's interesting is it's warm right now, right?
Yes.
So pollen is coming out. The bees yesterday bringing a ton of pollen into the hives.
Really?
But it's going to wreak havoc if you have your pool open early, because all that pollen is going to be sitting on top of that water, and which is good for you because you need those products for those things. But if you have a pool, On a side note, so I travel a lot for business, and one thing I'm always amazed at is when flying over Syracuse.
What is that noise? Hold on right there.
It might have been me leaning.
It is. Yeah.
I apologize to the audience.
No, that's
My
okay.
fault.
We're gonna, we can pick up there. We were at 2:50, maybe 3 minutes.
Yep.
So I'm gonna reset that. But let's pull that away. And that was weird because I was like, is something beating down? Are you good now?
I think rub it on the
Yeah. Hey, Brad, can you come in and reset the clock at like 3 minutes for me?
So, Seth, one thing I find interesting is when I travel for business, whenever I'm flying in or out of Syracuse, the amount of people that have pools. There are so many pools. You don't realize it until you're looking
in
down.
the plane. Yeah,
you're looking down from the plane and you realize, wow. So do you have any idea how many pools are in Syracuse, percentage-wise, or number of pools?
I do not. There are a lot of them.
There are so many.
Yeah.
And they're all potential customers.
Yeah.
Good for business.
Absolutely.
So what might people see over at your place as far as product is concerned?
So when you walk into the store, we have chemicals, filtration equipment, anything you need to do in the pool world. And we have good staff that are trained, that know about things, that know how to talk to you about spending your money wisely, doing the right thing, not doing too much, not doing too little.
Chlorine hockey pucks versus liquid chlorine. What's better?
Liquid chlorine is less expensive, although it's not as less expensive as it was in the past, but it's more of a pain to use. You got to use it every day. You can get it on your clothes. Tablets are more expensive, but they're easier to use.
Gotcha.
I got another question.
Yes.
Chlorine or bromine?
Bromine is good for hot tubs because it's good for hot water.
Okay.
It dissipates less than other chlorines like calcium hypo or trichlor or liquid chlorine. Liquid chlorine, 100% pure liquid chlorine is only 12.5%. If it gets to 13.5%, it's gas. So when somebody says, "Oh, it's only 12%," well, that's full strength liquid chlorine. Household bleach is 5.25%. So it's a third of what household bleach is a third of what liquid chlorine is.
Wow.
It's all what you're used to using.
Yeah. Now, do you sell those as well? The hockey puck type?
Absolutely. The biggest thing with pools is being proactive, not reactive.
Okay.
If you know what's going to happen tomorrow, hot, sun, rain, parties, be proactive with your chemistry so you're not being reactive. Oh, my pool turned green, time to do something different. So be proactive.
You don't want to get it to the point where you have to really shock it and do a ton of chlorine in it, right?
Well, the shock brings it up because things like heavy rain and hot sun makes the chlorine dissipate. So if you let it dissipate and the pool turns green, then you have a problem.
Right.
If you shock it, bring it up above so that the rain or hot sun or usage brings it back down to normal, the pool doesn't turn. That's what I mean about being proactive.
Yeah. It gets kind of complicated. So there's
Get
a
a hot
great
tub.
reason. Yes. Get a hot tub and get Sev and all of his people over at Clean All. Your website, do you have a website?
Yep,
now?
it's www.cleanallcny.com.
Clean All
You don't have to say
CNY.
www anymore.
No, you don't.
Can you
Yeah.
edit that out?
A lot of people will go dub, like that. But no, it's Clean All.
Caught me off guard.
Clean All CNY.
CNY.com.
Great. And you can probably see some pictures there and all that. Thank you so much, Sev, and you have a great rest of the day.
I appreciate you having me.
Excellent. Who's up next? Well, it's the name I'm having trouble pronouncing. It's Michelle, and it's Persecino Samurai, and she's the owner of Willow Health and Wellness. I am looking forward to this conversation because, I'm a hypochondriacal type Italian guy, and I'll be talking about that right here on The Local Show on 570 WSYR.
The Local Show, featuring conversations with business owners, employees, and local business leaders about their successes, challenges, and reasons for doing business. Right here in Central New York. The Local Show is locally produced by Zoey Advertising. Now your hosts, Tom and Steve.
We're back again, and that means you are too. You've got The Local Show on 570 WSYR 106.9 FM. I'm Tom Soccocio Jr., along with my good friend and co-host, Bob Holden Betts, because Steve is taking another vacation.
Another vacation.
Another vacation. Well, that's good. You know, it seems like everything runs best when he's on vacation, so we'll keep it that way and have a little fun. But it's great to catch up with you.
This has been fun.
Yeah. How many? You have 4 kids.
4 kids.
All right. And now you keep saying you're an empty nester, which is very difficult for me to believe because I've known you for 20-something years. And they were all just babies way back when.
Now we're empty nesters.
Yeah.
So adjusting to that.
Your youngest one, Solomon, is in Ireland. That had to be tough to let go.
Yes and no. He's doing what he loves in an area that's beautiful.
Yeah.
So,
And since you love to fly, you have no problem zipping over to Ireland and
it's
having
like
some
flying
fun.
to California.
Yes. Oh, golly, I wish I could fly like that. Anyway, we've got a new guest to the show. And Michelle, I'm going to have you say your last name. Persecino?
Persecino Samurai.
Persecino.
You got it. You finally got it right, Tom.
Well, when I hear it, you see, then I can do it.
Yes.
Michelle Persecino Samurai. She's the owner of Willow Health and Wellness.
Right there in Baldwinsville.
Yeah, where exactly in Baldwinsville?
We are just up the road from Radisson, right on Route 31.
Okay. When you say up the road, like
Up the hill.
up the hill. Okay. So past Budweiser?
Yeah.
Okay. So just past Budweiser.
Yep. It's 3090 Belgium Road.
Okay.
And then we also have a location in Camillus.
Gotcha.
Wait, hold on. When did you get the location in Camillus?
Probably 5 years after we started the one in Baldwinsville. We opened one in Camillus. Yeah.
And where in Camillus?
It's kind of kitty corner to West Genesee, or the high school, right on West Genesee Street.
Okay, yeah. My Dr. Barry is over there.
So Dr. Barry is involved. Yeah, he's part owner of that building, and
And that's where you
Dr.
are?
Barry, yeah.
Oh, no kidding. That's my doc. Yeah.
Apparently you haven't been there in a while,
Dr.
Tom.
Barry. Oh, I've got one coming up. No, he
Yeah.
checks in with me often because he says I'm like a science project. So, yeah.
And he's going to be mad because he was trying to get me to go on his show. And I said, no, I'm too nervous. I don't want to.
In fact, he's the one who has convinced me to donate my body to science fiction. Yeah.
To science fiction.
To science fiction, yes. That's what we're going to do. But I love Dr. Barry. So wonderful. Okay. Well, great. This is all coming together now. So what did you do that made you have a wellness center? Because when I think of a wellness center, I think of multi-conglomerate national things that, I didn't think it was a local person who could start one.
It's funny how it actually got started is my ex-husband was doing a consulting job for Physical Therapy Plus. They are upstairs. Okay. And they wanted to know, how can we use this space? And so he kind of came up with the idea and gave it to them. And they didn't want to take it forward, but he did. So he talked to me because he knew of my interest in health and wellness, and we took it from there.
What did you do before that you opened this up then? What was your profession?
I'm in architectural drafting and design, so nothing related.
Nothing related.
No,
that's wild.
I was the market manager of the Baldwinsville Farmers Market for about 8 years. So
interesting.
With that, just talking with a lot of local vendors, and I don't know, I just started getting interested in nutrition.
Yeah.
I love to learn, and I went to podcast and YouTube University.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
Just really started digging deep into it, and then I actually went to school at Yoga Veda Institute. It's an online school for Ayurveda, and got into nutrition therapy. Wow. And so one thing led to another.
Yeah. Well, that has, go ahead.
So that term Ayurveda, what does that mean? Because I hear that a lot. It's on podcasts. It comes across my feeds.
Right.
What is that exactly?
Ayurveda literally means knowledge of life, science of life. So it's an ancient medical system in India. So it's the sister science of yoga. So yoga is more of the physical science, where Ayurveda is more of the medical side. And the foundational principle of Ayurveda is based in food and lifestyle. And
let's bring that microphone closer to her mouth there.
Okay.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Is that better?
Good. Yeah, that's very interesting. I'm very interested in that stuff because I do follow a lot of longevity experts on YouTube, and that's kind of my thing now. So, and that's how I got hooked up with Dr. Barry, because I knew he was more on the, holistic and healing and preventative side than, let's just throw pills at it and statins and
Absolutely. And Ayurveda is a complementary therapy. Yeah.
That's great. So what might people find at the Wellness Center?
Oh my goodness. So how long are we? So, okay, I can just kind of list off the services that we have and had for quite a while. Physical therapy and chiropractic, acupuncture, therapeutic massage.
Oh yeah, these are you're singing my song.
Therapy. Yeah. It is truly a healing place.
But it's not like a spa. It's actual for medical issue. If you have issues, they can take care of it.
Yeah, absolutely. We kind of always toe the line between we're not a spa, but we're not a clinic. So we're kind of in between.
Yeah.
So this fits perfectly with what you do every night before you go to bed. What do you watch?
I watch all those. Well, there's actually a gal that I watch out of Florida, and her name is Dr. Mondragon. Have you ever heard of Dr. Mondragon?
No.
Well, Dr. Mondragon, she's got to be in her early 40s, but she does a thing where she's cracking the backs of everyone. She's a chiropractor, doctor of chiropractic, but she does the massage.
And they hate when you say crack.
Adjust. Okay, she's adjusting. But she has all these people on, and she takes such a unique approach because I've had manipulation before, but she actually really dives into how your gait is, how you're walking, and then she will ask you what your problem parts are. But she does like massage as well as the manipulation, and it's wonderful. But what's so relaxing about it is as she's adjusting and you're hearing the pops and the cracks and stuff, they're miking it. So you're hearing all of this.
That's
and it seems like, and she's got like 1 million people following her. It's an unbelievable. So
this is how you wind down every
That's
night?
how I wind down, because watching somebody massage somebody else and adjusting them, you're like, I can almost feel it, but I'd like to come to your place and actually get it done.
Yeah. So Dr. Bowen is the chiropractor at Willow, and she is very similar. Her adjustments take a half hour because she does all the soft tissue work before moving into the adjustment. Yeah.
Very nice.
Now, Michelle, you recently had a grand reopening.
We did. I did. Yeah.
How did that go, and what's different about it now?
Okay, so it's 10 years, and I just did a big remodel and brought in 5 new therapies. So I was thinking this is a perfect time to do a grand reopening. I can highlight the new therapies and just kind of say, hey, we're here still.
Yeah.
So the therapies I brought in are an infrared sauna, a far infrared sauna, red light therapy, compression therapy.
Wow.
Redid the entire reception area and added a retail space where I have an oxygen bar.
Uh-huh.
And then the last therapy hasn't arrived yet. That's coming, and that's a sound bed.
Sound bed. So tell us about that.
So the sound bed, I can't wait to try it. You lie down on it, and you're wearing headphones, and it's a guided meditation to music, and then there's vibrational frequencies that actually you can feel, it puts you into this non-sleep deep rest. So truly a great relaxation. Yeah, sounds like this would be right up your alley.
This might be the next level from listening to Dr. Mondragon. Yes.
Yeah, I really, I love that stuff. So important. That's in this environment, where people are tending to not trust their doctors anymore because of all the pills and pill popping and just throwing a thing and not being able to see a doctor or anything. So really, this is like a preventive health type thing.
Yeah. The sweet spot is preventative.
Yeah. Right. Very nice. Well, we're going to send people over to you. And once again, your location, just so everybody knows.
We have one on Belgium Road in Baldwinsville. Okay. That's Route 31. And then
the same services? Are there same services at both?
No, all of those therapies I just said are at the Baldwinsville location. Okay. And we have classrooms and studios at each of the location too. So classes, and the Camillus location has physical therapy and a studio, yoga, Zumba.
Excellent.
breathwork classes, all of that.
Excellent. Okay. So that's Willow Health, and the website is willowhwc.com. Willowhwc.com. Michelle, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for the opportunity.
You got it. Have a great rest of the day. Bob, you made it through a show.
I did.
And
Thanks.
thank you very much. And we'd like you to go pick up your paycheck, which consists of just a jar of peanut butter. So enjoy that. All right. On behalf of the local show, Zoey Advertising and Tom and Bob, God bless you and your families. Take some time to relax and exercise today and every day. Do it with a family member or a friend. It'll keep the mind and body healthy. The local show is heard every Saturday morning from 11 to 1 and then again on Sunday morning from 7 to 9. Listen together with a friend. It's more fun that way. Until next week, get down to business and keep doing business locally. Tell your friends about the local show right here on 570 WSYR 106.9 FM, the iHeartRadio app, and on YouTube at Zoey Advertising.